Welcome to DT Madness, Chronicles from the Third Life, Episode 40, December 31st, 2022. So glad you could make it. All right, happy New Year's Eve, everybody. Heading into 2023. I just got back yesterday from a whirlwind trip to New York. I know many of you followed along on the Insta stories, and I look forward to sharing some of those um, stories from New York, chronicling that in the next couple of weeks. It might actually take 2 weeks to get through all of it. But for today, New Year's Eve 2022, it's about the 19th birthday of my first baby boy. He's a New Year's baby. So let's jump right into it. We'll have a quick halftime and then wrap it up uh, after that with just a ranking of Christmas presents. Not a ranking, but a comment on some of them, I guess. New Year's resolutions at halftime. 19 years ago, so would have been 2003. Yeah, 2003 New Year's trip. My friend Shields and the Knipes, we all went down to Myrtle Beach, um, doing some gender stereotype type activities. The guys were going down to play golf, and the women were doing the shopping at the boardwalk and the Broadway and all that kind of stuff. Sarah's not really into that stereotype, but she can hang. So we were doing all of that. We went down. Sarah was pregnant, obviously, and we were ready for the baby or ready to get back and then get ready for the baby because Sam's due date was right around Valentine's Day. So we still had 6 weeks to go. We had not done any of the classes at the hospital or taken any of the tours. All that stuff was scheduled. Hadn't bought any baby type things or had showers and such as that, I don't guess. We were living in Statesville at the time. So anyway, we're down there doing the golf trip, and we played this like a links course. And I am a competitive guy, and I do like to win. And my friend Jeremy does too. So me and Shields have been going back and forth with each other since a long time. And I whipped him that day for sure. I think I still have the scorecard from that somewhere tucked away in a memory box of some sort. But just as we got out of the round on New Year's Eve on 12/31/2003, my cell phone rang, and it was Sarah, or perhaps it was a text. I can't remember, because this was back in the days when you had to punch the number 3 times. If you wanted to type a C, you had to hit 1 3 times. So like early days texting, SMS type stuff. But anyway, Sarah contacted me and let me know that she was having some pains, and it was mostly in her back. She didn't think it was a big deal. They had called our nurse friend, and the nurse friend said, "Yeah, you can have back labor. You can have contractions that you feel there, and so we should go get it checked out." Sarah's like, "I don't think it's that big of a deal." I'm like, "I'll be there in a minute." So we went there and picked Sarah up from the hotel, and we headed on to the Myrtle Beach Hospital, Grand Strand Regional Medical Hospital. And we get in there, and they go ahead and they take Sarah up. They wheel Sarah up to a room and start getting her hooked up and all that kind of stuff. And I had just the hardest time. I mean, I don't know how long it took. It seemed like 30 minutes. Maybe it was only 5. And I was just stressed. But finally, they realized I had never been to that hospital. And so they just stopped looking for my records or whatever it was and let me go on up. And when I got up to the room, they had Sarah strapped in. Um, or like hooked up, not strapped in, but like hooked up to a machine, hooked up to a machine that measured the contractions and stuff like that, and that's what they were checking on. And she was definitely having contractions, and it was kind of a fun game for me because I got to watch the numbers on the machine and the little line on the machine, and if it went up above 100, I knew that that was a good one, and so I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one, honey. Here's a really good one that you just had." And she's actually, experiencing the contraction. She's like, "I know." Um, but so yeah, I stopped playing that game pretty quickly. But we are having contractions, and they put an IV into Sarah's hand, I guess, or somewhere around in there. And I just remember that because Sarah hates needles so much, and the lady that was the nurse that was doing the IVs missed the first couple times, like it just didn't work the first couple times, and Sarah was not. She was nonplussed about that. But they got the IV in, and they were shooting in whatever drugs it was that was slowing the contractions down. So whatever that kind of stuff was, they want to slow the contractions down. We're still too early, and that's what we're going to do at Grand Strand Regional Medical Hospital until Sarah politely, alerted the nurses that maybe she had peed the bed a little bit. And the nurses were like, "No, honey, you can't. You wouldn't be able to do that because you have a catheter in." And Sarah's like, "I think I know if I what I'm doing." And then like this realization came kind of onto everyone's faces that her water had broken. And how did that happen? And whatever. The reality is that Sarah's water broke, and now we are not going home without a baby. And so that changes the game. So the deal is that Sam was 6 weeks early, and Grand Strand Regional Medical Hospital didn't have the capabilities to handle like the neonatal whatever the NICU stuff, and so they shipped us up to Florence, South Carolina, and McLeod Regional Hospital, which is, I mean, just an amazing place. We used to stop by every year when we would go down to the beach on New Year's and say hey to them, or even in the summer we'd stop by, and actually I think I should give them a call today. I'll try to do that because it was just fantastic. I'm so glad that we got shipped up there. But we made the phone call to our parents and family and let them know the situation. Yeah, we're down here at Myrtle Beach. We're headed to Florence and going to have a baby at some point. Now, at this juncture, they're still injecting her with the stuff to slow her contractions down. They hope to hold on for at least another week, and they're giving injections to strengthen Sam's lungs and whatever else because he was still going to be so tiny. And so we were thinking we would be in the hospital for about a week or so. And I'm calling, like, I was due to buy this house that I live in now, actually from Shields, and I'm calling him. I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm about to have to spend. Um, but anyway, we get up to, well, we get ready to go to McLeod, and they get Sarah on the ambulance, but they wouldn't let me ride in the ambulance with her for insurance purposes. I don't know why. Whatever. Um, so I go get in our Nissan Altima, which is what we had at the time, the white Nissan Altima with one hubcap missing. And I drive back to the hotel, call Shields on the way. I'm like, hey, man, here's the deal. Now, I'm usually the one that's frustrated at people who are blocking the way. And so, but what I did is I just pulled up into the parking garage at our hotel. I mean, not into a parking space at all, just right up at the entrance to where our hotel hallway was. Shields is helping me. We go into our hotel room. I mean, just armloads, just huge armloads of stuff. We're not trying to pack anything, just grabbing armloads of stuff and made. I think we did it all in one trip, but maybe we did too. Just stuffed the stuff into the trunk, and then I'm off. I'm off, and I'm headed. And this is like 2003, y'all. So I don't have an iPhone or anything like that. We were joking about MapQuest and things like this, and I didn't have any time to print anything out from the internet. So I've got this giant atlas map in the floorboard that I'm getting ready to head to Florence, and I mean I'm headed, and I'm rolling. And about 10 minutes into it, I realize like I'm headed straight to Charleston, which is not the way. So I lean over, left hand on the wheel, still peeking up over the, what do you call that, the dashboard. So I'm driving, I'm doing it, and rip South Carolina out of the map, the Atlas book map, rip it out, figure out where I'm going, do the little U-turn thing that I need to do, and then I'm headed to Florence on the way. Okay, this is all happening, I don't know, 4 o'clock, somewhere around in there. It's definitely getting dark by the time I'm driving. I mean, it's wintertime. It's December 31st. I've got the windows down and the heat on. And honestly, I mean, if you know me, this is just maybe the craziest thing of all. I wasn't listening to music at all. Like I am always listening to music, but I did not listen to music at all on the what hour drive or so to Florence, South Carolina, just in trying to get into the zone as best I could. I really wasn't freaking out, not at this time. It was what it was, I guess, and I wasn't speeding. I really wasn't, like maybe going five over, but that's kind of how I will roll. I mean, no more than nine for sure these days. But I got to Florence, I got to McLeod, and I beat the ambulance there. And I don't know what took them so long, but I beat the ambulance there, and I'm pacing. Now I'm pacing the perimeter of the hospital parking lot, which I mean, I don't know. I made two or three laps around that thing, and then finally I see the ambulance roll up. They pull up to the door to let her in. The doors of the ambulance open up. I'm right there walking up as it happens. I see Sarah, and then like St. Elmo's Fire starts playing. You know what I'm saying? Like dun 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 dun, and it's slow motion, and we're walking towards each other, and I'm sure it was some type of embrace, or maybe not. Maybe it was just like, get me out of this ambulance. I don't know. Maybe my memory is fuzzy on that. But we did all that. And the thing about the ambulance ride that I didn't really find out until later, but I'll go ahead and tell you now, the IV blew. Like the IV that was giving the drugs to slow down the contractions, it blew, it failed. And so Sarah's contractions were like 3 to 4 minutes apart on the ambulance ride up. And if you've watched any TV at all, you know that's the time. I mean, like I guess like I watched Cosby Show, and that's like 3 to 4 minutes apart. That's when you go to the hospital and you have the baby. The ambulance driver came up later, or the ambulance worker. I hope it wasn't the driver, but the guy that was in the back. He came up later and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I've delivered a couple babies in the back before," so that made us feel all the way better. So anyway, we get to McLeod, we get settled into the thing. The doctor comes in, super super guy. The doctor comes in, does his checking, all the things, and was like, yeah, you're gonna have this baby tonight. So that's that. So we're letting the people know. And now, it's December 31st. So at this point, we're going to have the baby tonight. We got to wait a little bit till our parents get there. It's going to take them about 3 hours from where they're headed. They're on the way. And also, I'm starting to think like, okay, well, let's wait. Hey, Sarah, hold up a little bit and let's be the New Year's baby. And she's like, I'll do the best I can. But I'm pushing for that. Um, and what I didn't realize though, maybe at the time, is that if Sam would have been born at 11:59, on December 31st, 1 minute before the new year, I would have gotten the child tax credit, the full child tax credit for that year, which back then was $1,000. And I've given him grief over that for the last 18, almost 19 years now. I've given him grief for that he somehow cost me $1,000. Come to find out that now, because he was born just a couple hours into the new year, that he does count, even though he will be 19 just now, that he will still count for one more extra year as an 18-year-old. Or maybe that's how it goes. Maybe when you turn 18, maybe he counts one more time this year. Either way, I'm going to get my 2,000 for him. So I guess it all ends up inflation, maybe. Um, but our parents get there. Our parents get to the hospital, and like they're acting goofy. My sister Jody and my mom and Karen, like my mother-in-law, everybody's there, and they're doing their things, and just giddy, giddy. Our first baby, and all that kind of stuff. And so that's all going on. And then like it gets to be time. You know, it gets to be time. It's getting close, and like you got to get to 10 whatever meters, millimeters or centimeters or something like that. You got to get to 10, and Sarah was at about 5, so we're about halfway to where it's go time. And we didn't know what we were going to do about the epidural and all that kind of stuff. Sarah's like, I can handle this, but if this is halfway and it's going to be double, then I'm not sure. So we opted to go with the epidural. And this guy comes in, man, and he was just absolutely phenomenal. His name was Daniel. He had done like mission work in India, which is the same. Sarah had done that. I mean, they're just yapping it up and joking and telling all the stories. And then it's time to put this needle in, and Sarah has to like scrunch over. She has to sit up on the edge of the bed and like scrunch her shoulders forward, I guess, to make the skin on the back tight and the muscles and all that kind of stuff. And this guy pulls out the needle, and I mean, I probably made a face. The needle was like, I don't know, man. In my mind right now, it's like 8 inches long. I'm sure that's not probably accurate, but Sarah's just shaking and trembling and squeezing my hand bones into powder. And the guy, he injects the epidural into Sarah's spine, and the warmth and the feeling of just loveliness, I imagine, flooded her body just immediately. I think she had like one hot spot where it didn't cover the pain, but for the most part, everything was now just right. In fact, I mean, the guy was like, just let me know if you need anything. And Sarah looks at this guy and she's like, oh, you can come back anytime. And I'm like, hold up now. But he was great. I mean, he was just really, really fantastic. And so, look, now it's after midnight. So now the race is on. Now I'm like, all right, we've waited long enough. Now it's New Year's Day. It's January 1st, 2004. And now we got to go ahead because there's another couple in the hospital and we're keeping tabs now. Like we're having our nurses give reports and as to how far along these people are. I don't know if it was a couple. I don't know. Anyway, obviously it was a couple at one point. Um, but it's like 2 o'clock now, and so we've got to really start getting down to business. But it does get to be go time. And I mean, I don't know, y'all. Like from my experience, the nurses do like 95% of the work. So respect your nurses and respect people who are nurses because they're doing definitely all the dirty work. And the doc just kind of comes in at the end and as Cosby says, squats down with his face mask on like Johnny Bench and waits till the baby comes out. But I mean, this is go time. And for us, because Sam was 6 weeks early, it's a whole bunch of people in there. I mean, like it's the regular staff, the regular birthing staff plus the neonatal unit folks. So there's like, I mean, honestly, I think it was 9 people, maybe more than that, including me and my mother-in-law was in the room and all this kind of stuff. And so, but it gets time for Sarah to push, and they get her up in the stirrups and things like this, but she can't feel how to push the right way. Like it's down and out. It's like, I mean, like they like taking a, I'm sorry, it's like taking a dump, kind of like it's down and out. And I'm doing the hand signals right now, and I've got my legs up on my counter, and this is weird. I'm glad you can't see this particular image, but maybe now you can. Um, so what the nurse did was like, okay, we're going to play tug of war, and they gave Sarah one end of a towel, and the nurse has the other end of the towel. And the way that they were playing tug of war is it simulated the correct way to push Sam down the chute. And so, I mean, for me, I'm just like, neither of them is tied in, and so if anybody lets go, especially if Sarah's in the bed, so if Sarah lets go, that nurse was going to go flying back through. You ever played tug of war with somebody and let go on purpose? Anyway, like that didn't happen. It was great. And she was pushing. And I mean, it's pushing time. And the way that it was is like you push for 10 seconds. And I'm not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm talking about 1, 2, 3. And then you take a big breath as you get to 10, and then you do it again. And then you do it again. Like it was 3 push sessions like that. And I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's that kind of stuff going on. And what I realized is that I'm over here, and I mean, I'm in my coach's stance. I still got my golf clothes on. Remember, I came straight from the golf course here. I got my Cubs hat on. It's turned backwards now. I'm down in my stance, with my hands on my knees, and I'm like, "You got this. Let's go. You could do it. Come on." I'm giving my best rousing push them out, shove them out, way out, all that kind of stuff, and realize that I'm about to fall over. I'm about to pass out. And the nurse looks at me and she's like, "Hey, baby, you don't need to push." I'm like, "Oh, right, right." So I'm here pushing too. Um, but it happened, man. Like Sam came out. He was born somewhere around 2 o'clock or so a.m. January 1st, 2004. He was just the tiniest little thing. Um, they did let me cut the cord, which I'm just saying, if you're ever the one to cut the cord, there's stuff in that thing. So don't like lean way over and get your face close. Like just cut the thing. But I got to cut the cord, and then they whisked Sam away immediately and put him in that little basket, that little heated basket where the neonatal people did all their checks and like what is it? Asgard check? No, Asgard is different. Apgar test, and he passed all that kind of stuff. Like he was 4 pounds, I think 4 pounds 7 ounces when he was born. I think I got that number right. I know that he was 4 pounds and 2 ounces when we took him home. I mean, like literally would fit into my hand. My finger stretched out like if you're, I don't know, if you're pointing to the left with your right hand in front of your chest, like the length of my finger, what is that, horizontally, was wider than his chest. Um, we we uh, we only had to stay one extra night. We only had to stay one extra night just to make sure that everything was going. He got to stay in the room with us. We're not crazy parents. Like we let him sleep in the with the nurses and stuff while we tried to get some sleep through the days, through the nights. But um, he had a very difficult time trying to eat because he was so tiny. So I got to actually feed him out of like a little cup, like a little bird. And that was pretty cool. He had the jaundice a little bit. We had to keep him wrapped up in one of those UV blanket type things when we got back to Statesville. They had to do that, but that was not a big deal. Or any of that kind of stuff. We named him Samuel Adams Thomas when Sarah worked in India at an orphanage there for a year right after she graduated high school, which is the same age Sam is now or has been this past year. Um, the one of the men that worked there was named Samuel Thomas, and so that's part of his name. And I'm partial to the Anti-Federalists, So Samuel Adams, the former Son of Liberty, is part of his name as well. Man, it was awesome though. Like, our folks were there and everybody was there and this little tiny little baby. Now look, we were the New Year's baby. We won the game. We were the New Year's baby in Florence, South Carolina. And like the newspaper, I've got the newspaper clipping somewhere. It used to be up on his bulletin board. It might still be in there. The newspaper came in and did a story on us. The TV news came in. I mean, we agreed to that before we realized what was going to be happening because like that was like the morning after or the next morning after, fresh and early. Now we were awake anyway because my dad loves hospital food. Or even this past time when he was in the hospital, he loved the lemon pie. But he's always, for whatever reason, just kind of loved hospital cafeteria food. And he comes in at like, I mean, it must have been 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning after we had just did this thing. Like, hey guys, y'all want anything from the calf? You want to go to the calf? Um, that's a great memory too. But the news is in there, like interviewing us and it's because we were the ones, man. Sam is the first baby born in Florence, South Carolina. Now that year, we were living in Statesville. The New Year's baby in Statesville that year in 2004 got a year's supply of diapers, and that'd be pretty cool. That's pretty good value. The New Year's baby in Boiling Springs, which is where we live now, got in Shelby, I guess, got a full scholarship to Gardner Webb. I think it was like Gardner Webb Centennial or something like that. But either way, now in Florence, South Carolina, what we got was a $25 gift certificate to the hospital gift shop. So yeah. Anyway, what we did was we bought flowers for our nurses because they were just so great. Like this is this low country stuff, like we're in Florence. So many of these people spoke with this kind of low country accent and were just the kindest people. Still to this day, I think we're going to take the Christmas tree down today. But the next to the top, the star goes on the top, but the next to the top, there's an angel that we put up that was given to us by one of these ladies. And she came in and she says, I think her grandmother made those things, maybe, or maybe she made them. I can't remember that part, but she came in and she's like, "Here, this is for the baby." And oh man, what a treasure! What a treasure it is to have that kind of thing. So, um, yeah, he was a tiny little guy, and we had to put him into the Nissan Altima. and like our parents are going to the stores down in Florence and getting like a baby seat to a car seat and like all this kind of stuff. Buying preemie clothes, the preemie clothes just swallowed them whole. They were so big on them. The car seat, there's an insert that you can get that goes in to kind of fit little tiny babies. Yeah, it was still so big. So we strap him in, and now I got to drive 3 hours home with this little 4 pound bundle. Uh, and I mean, you talk about 10 and 2. I was driving, like looking back every once in a while, like, yep, that's a real thing back there. So I won't get into the part where Sarah was starting to experience excruciating pain with the breastfeeding fun. Yeah, you have to talk to her about that. But yeah, that was it. 19 years ago. And now my guy is second semester um, college guy, a boonie, rocking out A's in his classes, um, just living the dream, man. What a kind and amazing kid. So happy birthday, my boy. All right, not too much time left, and not really any good jokes. Did hear one about the Pirates of the Caribbean, but I can't remember exactly how it goes. I'll have to save that one for next week. But halftime, it is New Year's Eve, and time to make those resolutions. I guess I could look back at what my ones were for last year and see if any of them actually came true. I don't think I hiked a waterfall every month, or ever. Maybe I'm not sure I made it to a waterfall at all. But maybe we'll have to carry that one over. But I do have some. One, my number one, or my first one on the list here is I want to improve my penmanship. Of course, most things are typed these days, and I'm not one of these old folks that are like, these kids don't even know cursive anymore, like, whatever. Um, but I do have to sign things. I'm the mayor and all, but like I do have to sign things, and I do like to write notes to people, and that's something that I've increasingly done over the past several months, and I want to increase that too. But like, if I'm going to write notes, handwritten notes to people, then I'd probably be cool if they could read it. So, and then part of that is actually just slowing down. I know how to write in cursive, and if I just slow down, but like I might even buy me a book. There's one for like $6 on Amazon that would help me to improve my penmanship and all that kind of stuff. Going along with that, you know what, man? A couple of people have said, "When am I going to write a book?" And it's a variety of people. Like it's English teachers, it's English professors that have questioned why I wasn't an English major, and I'm not, whatever. I'm not. That sounds like a humble brag or a brag or something like that. But really, I'm just saying I do love to write. I love to write, and I love to write Facebook posts, and I love to write, things and notes and letters and stuff like that to people. And so my second resolution is to at least begin. What would a book or a piece of writing that was a collection of writings or something like that? What would that even look like? Because I'm not sure how all of my ramblings would fit together. I mean, I tell people I'm more of a podcaster, because I can ramble together. But maybe I could take some of these stories and put them down into some type of format. Um, the third one, and there are four. The third one is maybe kind of weird, and I might have to explain this a little bit more. A book series I like, The Name of the Wind, and what is it? The King. It's King Killer Chronicles. Patrick Rothfuss, unfinished, of course. Stupid. It's been like 12 years now. Finish the dang book, man. Come on, give me some closure. But anyway, it's like names are super important, and I guess that's true in a lot of fantasy type literature. Um, and I've thought about that. I've thought about that a little bit, and how my name is Daniel, and not very many people call me that. I've been Danny, I've been DT, I've been Daniel, which all those things are cool. Mr. Thomas, obviously, Mr. Mayor, that's pretty cool too. And all the other little nicknames that I get. Did I say DT already? Like that's a big, huge one. Um, but I want to, as the kids say, lean in to the name Daniel and like really. I'm gonna be 45. Yeah, I'm gonna be 45 years old. I'm a I'm a grown person. I'm a fairly responsible adult. Um, and I wanna embrace that identity a little bit more, I think, than I have. Anyway, maybe I'll have to keep you updated on what that means. But I want to be treated that way too and spoken to. Anyway, the final one, not really as weird, is it really starts out with food. You know, a couple of years ago, I had this issue with like, ah man, it was like the diverticulitis or something, and that's stupid for a 43 something year old to have, and it was just a terrible thing I was doing. I was just being destructive of my body and in a lot of ways, and that combined with some stresses or whatever, just not good, not good. It's been a great 2 years. I stopped doing all the things. 2 years ago today was my last drop of alcohol that I've had. So completely sober for 2 years. Haven't had red meat. I did eat some bacon a little bit when I was in New York, but for the most part, I hadn't had pork either. Um, I I still don't eat like a ton of vegetables, a variety of them, but man, my diet's been really good, and my guts and all that kind of stuff have been clear, and it's just been great. It's been great. Like I feel better, all that kind of stuff. But I do want to begin to add in some different foods, some healthy type foods. I mean, that's why I was joking, not really joking about getting into oatmeal. But it's not really about food as I think about it. Like my final resolution for this year, and I'll speak more about this when I talk about New York and my plane rides and stuff. I just want to I want to take more risks, and I don't mean like stupid. I guess maybe the word is I want to be more adventurous. It's just so much. There's so much to life and existence and this earth. Like there's so much here, and I realize that even after one session of counseling, that I draw myself in. Everybody that knows me is like, yeah, we know. But like even physically, um, my reaction to dealing with stress is to physically like almost pull myself into a fetal position type stuff. And so where all my stress gets to is, in my stomach and whatever, like if you can imagine pulling yourself into a ball, but I do that not only physically, but mentally and emotionally and all those kinds of things. And as a way of protecting, like as a way of defending. And I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. And I can deflect and not have to deal with and keep all these other things at bay. But just looking out that window on that airplane, man, like, and look, I used to be terrified of flying, and I just so I'm pretty proud of that. Like, I have to tell Sarah, my counselor, that when I left last week, I told her I was going on an airplane trip, and I have to tell her that I realized I told her that because I wanted her to be proud of me. She doesn't even know me yet, but much. But I do. I want to be a little bit more adventurous. So those are my resolutions for the year. Just a couple more things, and then we'll wrap it up here, pushing 34 minutes now. But I just wanted to talk about some of the Christmas presents. Somebody asked me what my favorite gift was, and um, part of the reason why Christmas is such a weird thing for me is like this whole competitive gift giving business and just the stuff, But I'm grateful for it. I don't want to. I don't want you to misunderstand. I just wrote the list down that as far as I can remember, if I forgot something that I got, then I'll definitely bring it back up next week. So I'm just doing all this off memory pretty much today and a few pencil markings here, which I can mostly read, but penmanship. But I did get a new battery. I got a spare battery for my blower, and it fits my weed eater, and it fits my I've got the Black and Decker 20-volt series. I got the bush trimmers, and what else do I got? Is that all? But of course, my blower is my fourth kid, man. I love that thing so much. And now I've got two batteries. So on a day like today, when it's rainy and the leaves, it's difficult for them to blow off. It's my favorite time to blow off the driveway. And so, I mean, I'm getting excited talking about it right now because I'll be able to get the whole thing done, even if my first battery runs out. I got a second one now. So I'm so excited about that. I did get a bunch of money. Like we got a bunch of money, and that's cool. Our parents are just so generous to us. They give money to the kids too, and so that becomes my money. And I know that like when people see, my kids get $100 or they get $20 or they get whatever, and they pretty much know now they just immediately give it to me and I put it in my pocket. And people make their comments like, "Oh, I see who's going to get that money," and I'm like, "Yeah." But what we do is we just have a box. Like we have a box. Like, is it Acts? Is it Acts 4? Or is it Acts 2:44? I can't remember, but somewhere around in there it talks about all the believers were together and they had everything in common. Like that's what we do in our family. That's what we do at our family of five, the church of six. Like we just we pool all our resources, we put it all together, and then my kids can get what they want. Maybe I'll have to talk more about my philosophy of money another time, in finance. So we just don't do the individual bank accounts, and my kids are responsible. My kids are responsible with their money. They know what they can spend and what they should spend and all that kind of stuff. But if they splurge, they splurge. Um, we don't let money hold on to us. Um, anyway, but I got some of that. And that's cool. I got some turtles. My mom got me like I don't know, a couple turtles, one to go out. I think that'll go in the foundation tower of stone, maybe, or it may go on my desk at school. We'll see. But I got a couple of other little ones, and one for me and one for Isaac, and then there's one that like hangs on. So right now it's on the at piece, like wrought iron thing we have that my friend Aaron gave me. So I'm pretty glad about that. Man, my daughter, she's so thoughtful. Sydney is just amazing. And she Mod Podged me a thing that has just pictures of us through the year all around the edges. And then in the middle, it says, "By God, it's good. Everything," which is a quote from the play The Birth. If you listened to a couple episodes ago or maybe last week, um, it's good. The tough times, the hard times, the sad ones, the terrifying ones, like it's good, everything. And that's very meaningful to me. I'm looking at it right now. It's right here in my nook. And so that's a treasure for sure. Um, Now I'm having trouble with my penmanship here. So yeah, I'm sorry if I'm gonna leave. Oh, that says slippers. I got some slips, man, some bedroom slippers. They're fuzzy. I had been wearing Isaac's because Isaac always told me, as he says, it keeps his tootsies warm. And he's right. I'm not really a big socks guy, but around these times it gets cold on the hardwood floors, and so he's upset because I left my footprint in his slippers, but I won't have to do that anymore because I got me some. And then of course I got this trip, that I just went to see fish a couple nights. That's the big trip that I got. Sorry if that was a glitch there. And then finally, I got a painting from my friend Delaney, who I'm going to talk more about this next week. Um, I guess that's why I did the Christmas trip to New York and this painting that represents the wave of hope and reaching. It's just beautiful. I'm looking at it right now. It creates so much depth for me. Um, but man, 2022, that's a wrap, y'all. That is a wrap. And happy freaking New Year. Have fun tonight. Celebrate. Send my boy some birthday love if you have his number or on the Instagrams or whatever. If you want to send it to me, I'll pass it along. And let's get it going. 2023. Mm, Music sounded sketchy. Go quick. This Church of Six production brought to you by the Bucket of Life, the Magic Rock, the Foundation Tower of Stone, the Wall of Belief, and the Token of Hope. This too shall pass. Nothing divine is desperate. Don't forget to believe, y'all, and be live. Peace, my friends.